Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide. Well, today we are checking out the Boox Note Air 2 Plus, the latest version of the Boox's 10.3-inch e-note-taking capable devices. Note Air 2 Plus is the latest addition to the ever-expanding lineup of Boox eNote devices. In essence, this is a Note Air 2 with a bigger battery, different color finish, and added magnets to the body for the device to make it possible for it to be used in conjunction with the Boox's new magnetic flip cover. Everything else is identical to the Note Air 2, hence the name. Note Air 2 Plus is an eNote device, meaning that it can be used both as an e-ink reader device but also as a note-taking device. While reading and note-taking are its primary purpose, Note Air 2 Plus is running on an Android 11 system, which means that it also has the capabilities of a full-blown Android 11 tablet, making it a powerful, multifunctional device. It is priced at $499.99 US dollars or $500, meaning that it is only $20 US dollars more expensive than the regular Note Air 2. In the box, you get the standard set, the device, the pen, Boox Plus pen in greenish color matching the device, and a USB cable along with some documentation. There are no surprises here, as everything is bog standard. They could have gone the other route and make this the fancy Uber Plus Ultra edition and include a lot of extras, but that would surely cost even more. This, I believe, was actually a smart choice, as it made it possible that the Note Air 2 Plus is only $20 US dollars more expensive than the standard Note Air 2 version, which makes this actually a sensible choice on their part. I loved the design of the original Note Air 1 and the Note Air 2, and I love the design of the Note Air 2 Plus. As mentioned before, it is the exact same design and the device as the Note Air 2, but design-wise, I think that the new color, the greenish color that you have here, it actually works rather well and it matches the orange theme of the Air devices rather nicely. And I think it was a really good choice on their part. After spending a little over a month with this device, I can actually say that I do prefer the new green color, as it is a tad more elegant. Plus, after over a year and a half with my blue Note Air, the new color is a welcome change to see. One thing that is still lacking in the design are the anti-skid feet to make the device less slippery on the surface of the desk when using it outside of the protective cover. Note Air 2 Plus, like its predecessors, is made out of the strengthened aluminum alloy milled body and a glass screen on top. Materials feel and look premium. Ergonomics are excellent on the Note Air series of devices and are excellent on the Note Air 2 Plus as well. Part of this aspect is the auto orientation functionality that the Note Air devices have, which makes it possible to easily use the device in any orientation. One negative aspect of the Note Air 2 Plus when compared to its predecessor is that due to the larger battery, it is slightly heavier than the Note Air 2, 420 grams versus 445 grams, so Note Air 2 Plus is 25 grams heavier. So if you consider that the original Note Air or the Note Air 2 are on the heavier side of things for your needs, then you definitely need to keep this in mind, as the Note Air 2 Plus is 25 grams heavier than those two. Note Air design has gone through several revisions, and you can definitely feel it on the Note Air 2 Plus, as all of the little fixes have made the current iteration of the device to be very practical to use on a day-to-day basis. Magnets are strong and are easy to use. Gone are the days of flimsy magnets using their anemic powers to hold the pen weakly in place, a pen that you would want to replace because it was offering inferior writing out of the box, and adventures of choosing and applying the screen protector yourself, only to end up with air bubbles and some frustration. Now with the Note Air 2 and the Note Air 2 Plus, the experience is as simple as it gets. You unbox the device, you power it on, and you use it perfectly out of the box, the way it should be. Quality is excellent on the Air series of devices from Boox. Not all devices from Boox are as well built and designed as the Air series, but the Note Air and the Nova Air series definitely do stand out from the Boox's lineup. I own and use the Note Air 1 as my daily driver for the past year and a half and a bit more, and I've had precisely zero issues with it during that time. I also own and use the Nova Air for a little over a year now, and the same story continues here with that device as well. Zero issues, normal use, all good. Note Air 2 Plus is a beautiful, practical, well-built device that should be able to serve you well over an extended period of time and normal use, like these two are serving me well now for quite a while. So yeah, I expect the similar things from the Note Air 2 Plus as well. The all-new magnetic flip book cover is especially designed and made with the Note Air 2 Plus in mind. It takes advantage of the built-in magnets in the body of the device and makes it possible to attach and hold the cover onto the device via the magnets only. This is the area where Boox devices typically lacked in the past. Note Air family covers have gone through different phases. Originally they used adhesive tapes, which people disliked without even giving it a proper chance, to be honest, just because they didn't like the idea of using adhesive tapes. But the realization of that design was actually quite good. So good, in fact, that my Note Air 1 cover, which is over a year and a half old and from which I have attached and detached my Note Air dozens and dozens of times, still holds and works great. I only have to pull really hard to actually detach it, and these are the adhesive tapes that I'm talking about. And you can see that they are not ruined, they still hold the device, they don't leave any permanent marks on the device. I can just wipe this off and then it's gone. So this approach allowed for a low cost, low weight, thin profile, which are all of the things that I value in a cover of this type. Boox then decided to listen to the outcries of people who never even used this product and to improve on a design that actually worked with a design that didn't work. Entered the new plastic bucket frame replacement covers. I don't own this, so I can't show it. And these are just bad in every way, and that's the reason why I don't own it, as the core concept is actually flawed. In an attempt to address the main complaints, the use of adhesive tapes to hold the device and no protection around the corners and the sides, which actually a flipbook cover is not supposed to do in the first place. For that kind of stuff you need a protective case, not a flipbook cover. But anyway, Boox introduced updated versions of their covers that now used a plastic bucket into which the device would be fitted in. So this added cost, weight and bulkiness of the entire package, but worst of all was the type of material that was used for the bucket design. They didn't make it elastic enough, so the cover would break after a handful of falls onto the corners. So this actually makes sense because hard plastic is brittle and will crack easily on impact, and the added weight of the cover and the fact that the Note Air weighs so a little over 400 grams to begin with, none of these things actually help the situation in impacts. So now with the Note Air 2 Plus, we finally have a brand new version of the cover, and while not perfect, it is, I think, the best one yet. It goes back to basics, so no, it doesn't provide side and corner protection, nor should a flipbook cover do that, as I already mentioned. So it is a flipbook cover and is trying to do things well for a flipbook cover. It is slimmer and lighter than the bucket one, and it uses magnets to hold the device in place, so no more adhesive tapes. It also has an added pen holder flap, although it's actually, while it does have magnets, it's actually placed on the wrong side of the flipbook cover, I think, because it should have been on the top cover, not on the back. But either way, the presence of the pen flap cover also makes sure that your pen doesn't accidentally detach while carrying the device in a bag or a backpack, which is a really cool thing to see. It uses synthetic materials, but they look and feel good. Most importantly, the previous cover that I have used over an extended period of time proved to be very durable and easy to maintain, which should prove to be the case with this cover as well. It looks good and it feels good under the fingertips, which makes it a pleasant experience to use. Ergonomics are for the most part quite good. It's very easy to place the device and take it out the cover. The magnet's placement or orientation of the device and the cover is such that the device will always snap itself into the correct position without the need for manual corrections of any kind. The new design is extremely practical and by far the most practical and elegant solution Boox has had on offer so far. The only thing I really do miss from the original design is the ability to use the flipbook cover as a landscape stand as well. This is something that I use actually all the time on my Note Air, and I would seriously miss it if I upgraded to the Note Air 2 Plus and this cover, because it doesn't actually have that. So this could have been solved very easily with a different placement of magnets, maybe just here, and allowing it to bend like the original does right here. So you would have this kind of situation, magnets here, bend it over there, but we don't have that. Oh, but yeah, this actually demonstrates how you would actually open if the flap was on top. So you would just go like this and then like this. Well, I don't know. Both work, I think. It's just a matter of preference. But anyway, that stand functionality, that is something that I would and do miss in this new flipbook cover. And it is a negative point on the practicality side of the new cover. As mentioned before, the materials and build quality are excellent and provide adequate protection of the device for a flipbook cover, not a case, and should stand the test of time. One thing I do miss is that Boox has stopped stitching the sides of the cover. This is actually something that they used to do, for example, on the Poke 2 cover, but unfortunately we no longer have that present, and it would have been a nice thing to see back again. The new cover overall is excellent and probably the best Boox has designed and placed on the market thus far, if you don't rely on the landscape functionality of it. And as such, it's a very welcome addition to the Note Air 2 Plus package. One thing to keep in mind is that this cover will only work with the Note Air 2 Plus at the time of the recording of this video, and will not work with the regular Note Air 2 or the Note Air 1, as those devices do not have magnets to hold them in place with this cover. I personally rely heavily on the landscape stand functionality of the device, of the cover, and as such I can't use this otherwise excellent cover even if I had the Note Air 2 Plus. Note Air 2 Plus has the identical internals as the Note Air 2, so the same octa-core Snapdragon 665 CPU, 4GB of LPDDR4 RAM, and the same 64 GB of non-expandable fast UFS 2.1 standard ROM storage space. It uses the same monochromatic 10.3-inch HD Carta glass screen with the resolution of 1404 by 1872 at 227 ppi, and it also uses the same dual color independently controlled front light. Battery is one of the main differences between the Note Air 2 and the Note Air 2 Plus, as the Note Air 2 Plus uses a larger 3700 mAh battery versus the 3000 mAh battery that you can find on the Note Air 2 and the Note Air 1. It's actually impressive that they managed to keep the thinness and basically all of the dimensions of the device the same while increasing the capacity by 700 milliamps. You can find the standard Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5 GHz connectivity, as well as the Bluetooth 5.0 on this device. It has a single USB-C port that can be used for charging, data communication, USB OTG storage functionality, and headphones, via the use of a dedicated USB-C to 3.5mm converter that is not included in the package. One of the things that I forgot to mention about the cover is that the previous covers also also had a problem that they didn't have a hole so that you can actually charge the device while it's in the cover, and the same problem is here on the new cover as well. We would need a cover, hole in the cover here, so that we can charge the device while it's protected. Currently, still not possible. It runs the Android 11, and current version of the OS, Boox's OS, is 3.2.3 version at the time of making this video. Supported document formats are PDF reflowable, non-DRM, PPT, EPUB, text files, DJVU, HTML, RTF, FB2, documents, MOBI, CHM, and others. It also supports image formats such as PNG, JPEG, TIFF, and BMP, and also audio formats as WAV files and MP3 files. With the Note Air 2 Plus, you get the now standard Boox Pen Plus, which I have covered many times before, so I will not repeat myself, and I'll just cover the basics. The main difference here is that the pen is painted in the matching green color to match the device, and everything else is actually standard. Which means that this is a basic but a very good pen that can easily be used as your main and only pen on this device. It's an all plastic affair, but it is well made and fairly comfortable to use. It sits well in the hand and is balanced well. It's quite practical because the magnets have been improved from their older pens, so it is now held onto the device quite well, which makes it practical, but the lack of an eraser or a button is actually a negative point for the practicality side of things for the standard Boox Pen Plus. As an all plastic affair, it's an okay quality, nothing special, but nothing bad about it either. There are no obvious flaws, but nothing that will wow you either. It's a perfectly functional and on a day-to-day basis real-life usable pen, which is basically all that is needed in an out-of-the-box experience. It uses the standard soft nibs that provide for a very nice feel and comfortable writing experience. The nib standard is the same as used on the Remarkable pen, old HP pens, and Wacom nibs, so no special grooves or anything like that, which is a good thing to see, which means that it's actually easy to find replacement nibs should you choose to do so. Pen Plus, while basic and without an eraser, it does provide for a very good writing feel for an out-of-the-box pen. The pen is light and well balanced, and the grooves prevent it from slipping, which means that writing with this pen over an extended period of time is actually a comfortable affair. If purchased separately, the Pen Plus costs around $46, which is a rather high price when looked at it as a separate entity. But since you do get this included in the package, well, that doesn't really matter this much in this case. So in summary, the Pen Plus color matches the device color well, it holds onto the device strongly and is comfortable to use, excellent to write with, and uses a widely compatible standard of soft nibs, all of which makes it a very good out-of-the-box pen to have. As mentioned before, the Note Air 2 Plus is using a 3700 mAh battery, which improves on an already impressive battery performance of the standard Note Air 2. So I tested out the reading and writing performance. The reading performance, basically I just set it to, auto flip pages for a certain period of time and then extrapolate the values. And while reading, you can expect to see the battery life of around 80 hours with no front light turned on. With the front light at around 50%, you will get around 50 hours per charge and 17 hours with the front light ramped up all the way to 100. When writing continuously, you get the similar type of results regardless of the front light intensity being used, as the writing is a processor intensive task, so it doesn't really matter how much of a front light you are using. The biggest consumer will be the CPU, and in that kind of use case scenario, you can expect to have around 10 hours of continuous writing per charge, which is also far more than you'll probably need. Battery life on the Note Air 2 was excellent, and it has only been improved on the Note Air 2 Plus. Is it a game changer of any kind? Nope, nor is it supposed to be as far as I'm concerned, but at a $20 difference, no added thickness and only 25 grams heavier, it's not a bad deal to have. Note Air 2 Plus uses the same monochromatic 10.3-inch HD Carta glass screen as the Note Air 2, so no differences there. Screen surface is using a factory laminated paper-like layer that provides for an excellent writing feel, but it is an added layer on top of the image, so it will have some minor, but some definitely effect on the image clarity when compared to a non-writing capable dedicated e-readers. However, this is true of all Wacom-enabled eNote devices, as this is simply how the technology functions. The reflectivity of the screen is very good. It dims and diffuses the reflections very well, making the Note Air 2 Plus easily usable in any kind of indoor or outdoor environment. Distance to screen is standard 1mm, which is basically the thickness of the front light that the device has. And the image quality, clarity, and all that kind of stuff, well, the HD Carta screen is used for its picture clarity, contrast, and quality. And this is certainly true of the Note Air 2 Plus as well. However, standard limitations apply. As already mentioned, for any other eNote device, you need to keep in mind that unlike a dedicated e-reader, eNote devices have additional layers on top. In case of this one, 2 layers. Have a Wacom layer for the pen input data and the paper-like film layer for a more pleasant writing experience. This means that the image that you will see will have to be filtered ever so slightly through 2 additional layers, and that will cause the image contrast and clarity to be very slightly, but if you compare directly, weaker than when compared to a dedicated e-reader device. That being said, the overall performance and image quality is excellent. Ghosting and performance is also very good and really easy to control. Like any other Boox device, Note Air 2 Plus has multiple screen refresh modes to choose from: normal, speed, A2, and X mode. And when switching between the modes, you're basically trading off the image clarity and ghosting mode for image speed. So you can pick and choose which mode is best for you in different situations. The front light is uniform, easy to control, and makes the device easily usable in any environmental situation. You can of course have independent dual control, and as I mentioned, the clarity and basically the uniformity is quite good, the range is excellent, and of course you can turn it off, which is frequently a question, but yeah, most definitely you can turn it off. The screen performs very well and the surface is properly treated, making it really easy to use in real life. The surface reflectivity is great, provides for an excellent writing feel, it's easy to maintain, and it is not fingerprint happy. The only thing to be aware of is that this is an HD Carta screen, and as such it is a glass screen. So like any other glass screen, you need to be careful not to break it, not to drop things on it, etc., etc. The default reader app on Boox device or Boox devices is Neo Reader, which is my favorite reader app, mainly because it's so easy and powerful and versatile. Now, I have covered this, the functionality of it, what you can do, how you can do it, and all that kind of stuff in detail way too many times now, so I won't be going into any details here. If you're interested to learn more, you can reference some of my earlier Boox review videos and find the reader functionality covered in a lot more details there, such as the original Note Air, Max Lumi 1, and Boox Note Air 2, etc., etc. The note-taking app and functionalities and options on Boox devices is also very good, although it's not on the level as the Neo Reader is. When Neo Reader is compared to other reader apps, the note functionalities or note-taking functionalities are not as good as some of the other note-taking apps out there, like the one on the Supernote, for example. You get a very decent variety of brushes and colors that you can use and export, quite a few powerful tools, probably the most extensive tool section out of any competitive platform out there, as far as e-ink goes at least. Some useful and some confusing formatting tools, and in general a bit too many things to make it easy and intuitive to use, especially for a novice. It could benefit greatly from a bit more slimming down and simplification of some of the user experience elements. We have a step in the right direction. At least now we have the text underneath the icons, so you know what they are and you can have the opportunity to learn what these icons are, but there's still a huge load of them, and yeah, it can be daunting and it can be actually even intimidating for some users. D.E.S.T.A shows that the Note Air 2 Plus performs actually slower when compared to the Note Air 2. Since the test was performed on the initial system with the device came with, I will rerun the test after updating to the latest version and resubmit the test results as a comment if there is a difference. But strangely, yes, the Note Air 2 the Note Air 2 Plus performs slightly slower than the Note Air 2. I can only attribute this to a software quirk, as the devices are virtually identical hardware-wise, so anything that would affect the actual writing latency that I'm testing here is identical and should be identical, but it is not. So that leads me to believe it's a software kind of thing. As far as the note-taking capabilities, functionality, and guide, I have covered that also way too many times in detail by now, so I'm not going to go into any details here. If interested, same as for the Neo Reader, you can reference some of the earlier Boox review videos and find the note-taking functionality covered in a lot more details there as a form of a guide. It being an Android 11 tablet means that you have a lot more functionality in the Note Air 2 Plus than just reading and writing. You can use the extensive connectivity options to add a physical keyboard or even a mouse to it via the Bluetooth connectivity. You can use the file browsing apps to actually have access to your LAN network and make this device a part of a network and things like that with your other devices. So really full-fledged complement of functionalities here on this tablet. You also have, of course, apps. Some apps have split screen, like the default Neo Reader, but you also have the system-wide split screen functionality that you can choose to have in horizontal or vertical mode, horizontal orientation, you can swap side and things like that. Of course, this is only for the apps that support split screen functionality like normal on any Android device. You also have screen sharing options by casting your screen. So yeah, you can do recording, but it is quite buggy. That's one of the things that I think is a bit of a problem, because it more often than not it will do these things. So something that I wrote, it just kind of disappears. Then I changed the colors. This was supposed to be lemon, but it's not a lemon color, and it's just not that not that reliable. I think it would be much more usable if it was a lot more stable, but it's not. However, you can record that, and then you can easily share. If the recording was a success, then you can easily share via Bluetooth, via an email, or if you have other apps installed, you can also share via those, or basically just save it as a local thing. And then because this is a normal Android OS, you can actually explore your files. And then in your storage, I believe this is recorded in videos. Yes, in movies, captures, and then you have these captures here, so I can list. And let's see which is the latest one. I believe this was the latest one, maybe. And I can actually even play it back. So now we can see what did it play back. So you can see where our pen is. And yeah, the capture is working, but it's buggy, as I said. Now, this is the worst case scenario because writing is extremely processor intensive, and I've noticed that it has these difficulties with screen sharing only when you're dealing with the writing and screen recording at the same time. Other actions, when I'm actually doing them, they're not that buggy or problematic, but then again, the chances are that you might want to do this also quite often, and you can't. Well, you can, but with these kinds of results. So definitely a lot of improvement can be done in this area as well. But for everything else other than writing, the screen share is working for the most part very, very well and very reliably. You also have an option to use it as a wireless external monochromatic 10.3-inch monitor if you use an appropriate app such as Space Desk or Super Monitor. And as extras, you get a ton more options as it has native support for Google Play Store, so you no longer have to go through the registration of the device for the Google Play. With the Note Air 2 Plus, you actually have Play Store enabled and installed and the device registered to it right out of the box, which is also a new thing. The Google Play Store is fully functional, like a completely normal store, and that means that you can use it to install your Kobo reader, Kindle reader, Audible, YouTube, any browser that you want, Office suites, and even play games that can be normally used on a slow screen such as an e-ink screen is. So in summary, you get an absolute powerhouse in the Note Air 2 Plus, as you do on the Note Air 2 as well, something that's a lot more than just a regular eNote or an e-reader device. However, with a lot of functionality comes a lot of complexity as well, so you need to be prepared to gradually learn how to use such a device and to understand that the beginnings of using a device like this can and most likely will be slightly intimidating for users who are not that tech savvy. So value for money, considering that the Note Air 2 Plus is now selling for $499.99 or $500 plus tax and shipping, depending from which store you actually buy and where you ship to. So if you're in US and you buy it from the US, you will not have additional taxes, and I think that you don't pay for any shipping, so you do get it at $500. But if you're in the US and you buy it from the China store, then you will pay shipping and you will pay import tax. So things that you have to kind of keep in mind. But the base price is $500 and the whole package is only $20 more than the Note Air 2. And that makes the Note Air 2 Plus a very good value for money. Now, unlike on the Note Air 2 or the Note Air 1, this is actually the second time that I've experienced this on this particular device of the Note Air 2 Plus. And basically I was exiting the app and I just wanted to go back or home. And this happened here, and basically he is going home, but the screen is not refreshing properly, and now it refreshes and then it goes back. So I first thought that that would be the software thing, because it does look like it, but this device has been updated this morning to 3.2.3, and again I experienced it here. So this is something that's kind of an anomaly. It's not a huge problem, but it is a problem that does exist. So it's something to kind of be mindful of. And this is not normal behavior. This is not something that I've ever experienced on my Note Air 1, and this is not something that I've ever experienced on the Note Air 2 while I was testing it for a month. And while I was testing this one for a month, I've experienced it now 3 times, 2 times before now, and now with the camera finally rolling to actually catch it in play. So it's time for the conclusions, and we start with the cons as usual. First con is a slight one, but it is a pet peeve of mine. There are still no anti-slip pads on the device, and that is a little bit annoying to see in the 3rd iteration of this design. The new cover can't double as a landscape stand anymore, and that is a definite limitation. Android 11, while offering a lot of power and functionality, comes at the price of a steep learning curve for some users. And finally, Boox still isn't transparent about their use of the Linux kernel on their devices. If it has been modified, the kernel itself, then they need to make that clear and make it possible for interested parties to request the source code of the modifications. Or, if it hasn't been modified, then they need to make that also clear, crystal clear, so that people can know what the actual state of their use of the Linux kernel is and whether or not they're complying with the GPL v2 licensing rules or not, which Linux kernel falls under. And now on to the pros. Excellent redesign of an already nice device. More power for a small price bump, no increase in thickness, and a slight increase in weight. New cover is very easy to use and is overall quite practical. Excellent out-of-the-box writing experience, even though initial testing shows it being a little bit slower than the Note Air 2. Unparalleled reader flexibility and capabilities, excellent battery life, and the power of Android 11 and Google Play Store on an e-ink device. Very, very cool to have. Alright, so how to summarize the Note Air 2 Plus? Well, when the Note Air 2 came out, I really loved it. I actually loved it so much, in fact, that I still think that Note Air 2 was and is the best eNote taking device that came out in year 2021. Note Air 2 Plus is a small iterative upgrade on an already successful and good design. And as such, it's a very strong contender to be one of the best 10.3-inch eNote taking devices released in 2022. However, we still have a good 6 months to go and a whole Q4 to go as well, when majority of devices come out. So there's a long way to go, but definitely a promising device for this year. As it stands now, if you don't mind the added 25 grams of weight, the added $20 cost when compared to the Note Air 2, and the reduced capability of having the stand working in a landscape format, and if you are in a market for a monochromatic 10.3-inch eNote taking device, then Boox Note Air 2 Plus is a very, very easy device to recommend because it's really, really good. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, if you are looking for a 10.3-inch eNote taking device, monochromatic one, then you're probably going to be looking at one of the two devices, the Boox Note Air 2 Plus or the SuperNote A5X. Remarkable 2, honestly, I still can't really recommend because of two main reasons. The subscription plan that still doesn't offer anything of real value after they have introduced it as an artificial paywall almost a year ago now. And because of the system instabilities that have been present in our otherwise reliable device, it has become quite unreliable with the updates to 13 and 2.14. So potential for the Remarkable 2 is absolutely there and has some amazing features and excellent functionalities, but they do need to get their act together to make it a cohesive and a stable, a reliable platform. But out of the two, the Boox Note eNote Air 2 or the SuperNote A5X if you're trying to choose between these two devices. If you're the kind of person who finds themselves not to be happy to learn new things, or you're a little bit of a technophobe or something like that, then the SuperNote A5X is something that will probably fit your needs better. However, if you are not really afraid or adverse to learning new technologies or allowing time that is naturally needed to acquire a new skill and let it actually grow into a knowledge, then the Note Air 2 Plus will definitely make it worth your time and worthwhile, because as an all-around device, it's an amazing device with a heck of a lot of potential and a lot of possibilities that unlock more effort and time you invest into learning how to properly use it. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell down in the description below. If you do like my work, I'd also invite you to check out the My Daily Organizer. My Daily Organizer has been carefully designed to offer a comprehensive yet effortless all-year-round experience. If used daily and in a recommended fashion, My Daily Organizer, or MDO for short, can significantly improve your productivity, effectiveness, and efficiency in both professional and personal settings. Full interactivity with over 11,000 hyperlinks spreading throughout the entire document, dedicated Monday and Sunday week start versions of the document, full year calendar with access to any month, quarter, and day of the year. Quarterly organizer also with access to the months and the days of the selected quarter. Monthly organizer with quick links to weeks each day and also some room for organizational and planning notes for that month. Weekly organizer is also available with access to each day of the week, and you also have one extra weekly notes page. The daily organizer side offers a daily planner page, two dedicated note pages, and a diary page for each day of the year, which can help keep track of your short and long-term goals. And you also have access to 99 cataloged and numbered My Notes pages, and the same thing with 99 cataloged My List pages. There are 3 different cover styles to choose from depending on your personal preference, and there's also a dedicated left-handed version of the MDO created especially for the Remarkable platform. MDO has multi-platform compatibility for the Remarkable, SuperNote, and Boox platforms. It can and will work on other platforms as well. Main prerequisites are that the platform has a dedicated PDF reader with support for writing annotations into the PDF and, of course, hyperlink functionality. If you would like to learn more about how MDO works, check the videos in the My Daily Organizer playlist in the description below. Or if you already like how MDO sounds and it's something that can help you better organize your professional and or personal life, then you can buy it at mydeepguide.com/shop. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!